to be. Here we go. Here we go. The shift is happening. Season 2.
Yeah.
Premiere.
Love it.
Welcome to Shift Happens.
We need some background music, Cari. We need something.
I know. I was like, those of you who are listening and you want to help us do an intro video about the shift, I think we can come up with something. I'm so sure of, I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Oh, the lyrics. Yeah. The lyrics could be very interesting.
Oh my goodness. Right? Okay. So
we're back.
What's that?
We're back. Season 2. And season 1 was lots of fun.
Oh my goodness. Was it ever?
We talked about stampede. We talked about fall, like a shift in perspective. Pet peeves. That was a good one. And we're unfiltered today. So anybody with littles around, we're talking about sex. Hello. I think this is pretty obvious. It's going to be fairly
how the little ones came into the world.
No, we're not. Yeah. Well,
ask your mom and dad kids about. My dad used to be like, yeah, when you walk through the grocery stores and sometimes they sell the fresh like seafood and stuff like that. And he'd be like, yeah, we just picked you up at the supermarket one day. I was like, okay, thanks, Dad. I was too young to understand. And I was like, legit thought, that was possible.
So what, like about the age of 14, 15, when you started discovering your sexuality, you went, wait a minute, it couldn't have been at the grocery store.
I think it was, oh my goodness. Yeah, it was probably even before that. I think we started getting curious way before that.
I love it. And I think we want to definitely talk to our guests. Hello, we have our first guest. Isn't this cool? What a way to kick off our season.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. So I don't know what you're thinking. We didn't even plan this. We're just rolling with, it's a real shift show sometimes. Literally, as I come in under the wire because I got busy with my head stuck in Canva designing something. Anyways,
oh my goodness,
we have a guest. And so I don't know if we don't want to really like have her wait in the wings. Let's bring her in and we can maybe talk about how all our summers went as a group.
As a combined effort.
Yes,
a threesome. As a combined shift, as a threesome. Let's do it. This is the professional threesomer. Welcome.
Oh, geez. Oh, my God.
What a title.
I didn't see that in her bio, but, whatever. Oh, Jannine, we didn't warn you about that.
Title.
Oh, my God. Okay, so Jannine MacKinnon is with us, sexual empowerment coach, etc. Jannine, we would love to have... It's probably safer to have you introduce yourself, maybe? Have you noticed?
I think so.
Yeah, sure. Well, thank you so much for having me. And I'm honored to be the first guest. I didn't realize I would be. So that's pretty cool. I get to pop your cherry in that way for the show.
I love it.
Woo! Yeah.
Right on live, too. This is even better.
Yes. Yeah, so as you said, I'm a confidence and sexual empowerment coach. I'm host of the Unapologetic with Jannine MacKinnon podcast. And when it comes down to it, I help women return home to their bodies and embrace the power within. And how I help them do that is through the lens of sexuality. Because I believe the greatest transformation comes through the taboo. And sex is a pretty big taboo. So when we get to learn to embrace that side of ourselves, accept those shadows, that stuff we're embarrassed or shameful of, and really be able to thrive in that place, it ripples through all areas of our life.
Absolutely.
Juicy.
I think I have to go say one thing about even growing up. It was like you said, taboo, not just to think about it, but even just to say the word sex. And then obviously everyone does that little, because we giggly and that it's one of those topics where growing up, it depends on your household or religion. Sometimes, sometimes maybe you had a parent that was open to the conversations, their child was curious and they're like, yeah, we'll definitely talk about it. And they gave them that information. But I remember growing up, it seriously wasn't until I think it was grade 4 that, no, was it grade 4 or grade 9? No, grade 4, they started to introduce it into the public school. However, it was, you had to have a permission slip signed by the parents that they were able to let you be educated
Right.
through the system. Go, okay, yeah. And they gave you sort of the curriculum of what
Mhm.
they were going to teach. So it was kind of a bit of an outline going, okay, this is what we're going to teach in the class for, this semester. And then if you would like them to participate in other topics, they gave out another slip on that. So kind of just depended on, whether it was the basics or if they got into maybe more diseases or, whatever it kind of was. I think it was like kind of like a step-by-step sort of process. And it was like, okay, do you want your child to learn sex 101? Check. You want 102? Maybe, and then so on. But that's what I remember growing up. What about you, Deena? Okay, that was interesting.
Cari, you kicked us right off the interwebs.
The internet doesn't like us right now.
We've been censored.
It's been too spicy.
Right? Every single show, there is some shift that happens. I swear.
Mhm.
I don't know what it is. Okay. So, Deena, I'm so sorry. But I don't know. It was like something went wrong with your internet. And I'm like, there's nothing wrong with my internet. Nada. But Deena, please continue.
What you were asking me what my experience was growing
Yeah,
up?
girl.
Yeah, so I think we've probably established with the audience that you and I have fairly similar strict religious backgrounds, maybe a little, different actual organization, but we we also grew up around, through that era. Jannine's younger a bit than us, we'll say.
A little bit.
A little bit. So she hopefully there was a little more openness and enlightenment around conversations in their home, but that, yes, not a topic. And menstruation, even there wasn't. I had 3 younger brothers. I didn't have like my friends. I was isolated out on a ranch, and there wasn't even. I was long distance phone. Like I just saw kids at school, really, and it wasn't taught really very much at school. That touched on a tiny bit in health class, but yeah, my mom, though, I was so fortunate. I mean, we've had our differences. She's gone now. We'd had our differences through the years, but through those tricky teen years, she was incredible to talk to. She was very open. I could ask her anything. There was no judgment, no suspicion. I remember asking her some questions, and I think I might have shared this with Jannine in our conversation on my podcast, that I could ask her things that my friends couldn't ask their moms. And so I'm asking her pretty detailed questions about the act of sex even. And I mean, I was about 16 maybe at that time, 14, 15, 16, in that range. And it wasn't for me. I was asking for my friend, but did she point any fingers or say, why do you need to know this? Or what are you up to? Or, like any of that. And she would give me, yeah, who's this? No. And I didn't say I'm asking for a friend. I just point blank asked the questions. And what was interesting is she gave absolutely as factual an information as she could. It wasn't any old wives' tales. She didn't put me off and go, well, you don't really need to know that. So I was really fortunate that I was given legitimate information. And I remember, this is an interesting story that just popped in my head. She told about feeling so bad when she'd been a teenager, and she graduated in 64. So you can imagine she was a teenager through some of those early 60s years. But she remembered feeling bad because there was a girl in their school that some of the friends were concerned for, because she was becoming very active sexually. And they talked to her one day and they said, we're concerned. Do you know how to like not get pregnant, basically, right? And she's like, oh yeah, if I want to get pregnant, and then I take this pill. And she had it backwards, right? And so there was a lot of misinformation, because a lot of this was it was new, it wasn't talked about. And it came down to, what could they just kind of guess at? And a lot of those generations wouldn't talk. So and that was partly why she was being so open with me, was because she wanted me to have the best information possible, make the best decisions, be safe, be smart. Of course, I had to do my own experimenting, find out some things the hard way. I didn't get pregnant unplanned, but it was just, there's other heartbreaking things that you discover. What Jannine has talked about, though, on my show too, is that it doesn't start in the bedroom. It doesn't start with a partner. And those are the things that I think we can all learn from, that we didn't even realize that we feel cringy around, that we should feel the opposite about.
Yeah. I agree. So Jannine, maybe let's go into that now on, like we said, it starts outside of the bedroom. So what does that mean for our listeners if they're going, oh, what do you mean outside the bedroom? Are you, finding someone on the street? You're getting busy out there? Like, no. Like we're, how do we, kind of learn things and grow from it? And like we said, start outside the bedroom.
And we're not just talking about the M word.
Yeah.
Absolutely. First,
we can say it because
but I'll let Jannine say it though.
Oh yeah, we can say masturbation. It's
there you go.
First, I want to touch on though how your experience, Cari, is so similar to so many's. And Deena, your experience is amazing that your mom was so open with that. But I think with so much of the education coming through, like the school sex ed programs, and my mom was really great at being very upfront about things as well. And we would have car conversations. She would get me to go to the grocery store and we would sit at the far end of the parking lot and I'd have to have these discussions with her. But looking back, I'm so grateful for them and that she was so open about things. And my friends would come to me with questions as well. But I find through that lens, it lacks the connection and the intimacy and the sensuality. And it almost has this like rigid, like medical lens of don't get pregnant, don't get diseases, make sure you have safe sex and you protect yourself. And boys only want this from you, and be careful. It can wreck your relationships and your reputation. And so there's a lot of like scare tactics around it through that lens, right? And so that's how I work with things. It's really about that connection and starting that connection with yourself, with your body, and with your sensuality. And then we get to carry that forward with partners. So when we're starting with ourselves and really tapping into our sexuality, sensuality is a gateway to that. Being able to awaken our senses, be present in the moment of just drinking in the pleasure of that delicious sweet fruit or the sound of nature. Like we really can get a lot of pleasure out of that and train our presence outside the bedroom. So we're able to drop in even further. We talked all in depth about all the senses with Deena yesterday. And it's also about that connection with your body, feeling comfortable as you are, because I think that's a really big block. So many women especially have, and men deal with it as well, is the insecurities that come up. They go to put their hand on your tummy and immediately you're like, oh, like that's squishy. I don't feel confident there. Don't touch there. And then we get in our head and lose that presence and that connection. So when we're able to get comfortable in ourselves, get comfortable with a little face massage, and then over time moving into masturbation, and what I like is actually slow pleasure and then sacred sexuality, because I do think there is quite a range, and I can go into that if you'd like, but it's being able to play with that connection, with that pleasure. And in terms of partnered experiences as well, it starts way outside the bedroom. I like to say foreplay starts with coffee in the morning. You're not going to feel all fired up right away when someone's like, oh, let's have sex. And it's like, okay, let's go. Like, no, you got to keep that.
Yeah. As I say, men are the microwaves and women are the ovens.
Yeah, it takes time to warm up. That coffee in the morning, the touches that are non-sexual, but just building that connection, the little texts or comments that builds things up so that magic can really happen inside the bedroom.
I like how you have shared other conversations we've had, Jannine, around taking your time, go slow, don't shock your system, don't shock yourself. Because like I shared in one of those conversations is you demonstrated like even like rub your arms, and I'm going, ooh, like my instant reaction was not that I don't mind touching my arm, but to do it intentionally as a way of connecting with my body and just going, oh, that feels nice to touch my own arm. Like it feels a little bit awkward. And to just think, okay, I'm going to just give myself a full body massage.
Yeah.
Not even masturbation, not even talking about sex, but just allowing myself that time to give myself something that feels nice other than chocolate. But chocolate counts too, because like you said, awaken all those senses and just be present in that moment and allow ourselves pleasure. And I think we struggle with that in general as women. We love to give that as showing in love and acts of caring and nurturing people. And we'll just give beyond what we have for energy. But to give ourselves a little time, like spend an extra 2 minutes in the bathroom, maybe making your makeup a little nicer or taking that time to massage your face because you're just like, oh, I got to get going. Like people need me. So it takes practice. And so I like how you have mentioned, and like other times I want to emphasize that just take your time. Don't scare yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Take your time with these things, and the smallest things, these little baby steps add up together. And we build that connection, we build that trust with ourselves, and that begins to expand and begins to grow. And so those simple things are that face massage. It feels super awkward and really weird the first time you do it. It's like, this looks so strange.
With me and go count.
Yeah, and it just it
do a guided
so
face massage with our audience.
Yes.
Someone's tuning in going, what the heck is this? I came here for sex, not facial massages.
But it all starts outside the bedroom, right?
Well, it's true. You have to get to know yourself first. Like it's just like a map, right? So you know where you are, and then to bring someone else into your map, you want them to explore your body. And you're like, okay, well, let's start here on the face. I like to be rubbed here or whatever. Then that gives them the confidence of going, okay, yeah, like that person will guide me through what they like, and then that might open up their confidence going, okay, well, I would like a face massage too. Like, no, it's not just you. I want one too. So then it opens up again, that communication and then that confidence for both of you to go, okay, oh, we both like the same things. So even if you're just sitting on the couch and you just touch each other's foot or something, and, or you're just kind of sitting there and start rubbing the face on the side, then you know where it might go. A prompt in a way, right? The sexy prompt. So I think that's good. And it's one of those roadmaps, again, that will help you just to know yourself just that little bit more. Like why do you like to be touched there? And why do you like it to be a certain way? Maybe some people like a rougher, tougher, kind of touch, and some people like it more gentle and sensual, right? So it really just kind of depends on what they like. So Deena.
I think confidence was a key word I want to pull out of there. And that's a
Yeah.
big thing that Jannine is working towards when she's talking about this sexual empowerment that she guides people through is that confidence. So you're going to feel more confident in your own body because you just feel special. You've made yourself feel wonderful. You have taken in beautiful things that have really filled your soul. And to have that confidence, Cari, that you talk about, where you can now explain to somebody else, oh, I really like, don't touch my elbows, but if you want to rub my
Don't touch
knees,
here,
yeah,
but touch here.
yeah. There's just, and that confidence is super sexy. Confidence is super sexy anytime. But if you know your body well enough and you've become comfortable with what feels nice, and you can direct a person that way, and they're like, damn, she just gave me a key.
Yeah, like how empowering is that? And there's lots of places we can explore, and erotic blueprints really comes to mind. I don't know if either of you have heard of them. Have you heard of
No.
love languages?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like sexy love languages, essentially. So there's Jaya. She's created these erotic blueprints, and there's a Netflix special, Sex, Love, and Goop, where I first found this work, and I have a full podcast episode on my podcast diving right into all of the erotic blueprints. But to sum it up, a lot of what we see in movies and TV and things like that is the sexual blueprint, where you get fired up right away, you go for the genitals, it turns you on. P and V is like how you're going to orgasm, and that's just one blueprint. And I know I've definitely experienced, and I'm sure you guys have as well, that's not always the best way to get that oven going, so to speak, as you said earlier. And so there is sensual blueprint, that slowness, bringing in all five senses, like we've touched on a little bit. There's energetic blueprint, where they are very in tune with energy, and they can actually orgasm being across the room from someone, which is incredible. And it's incredible to watch what Jaya shows in that Sex, Love, and Goop show. There is also kinky. And kinky doesn't necessarily mean BDSM. Kinky is anything that the particular person feels is kind of out there on edge. So this could be maybe feeling like a metal, like chain or different things, feeling that coldness of that touch on your skin, or just anything like that. And then of course it can go into more of the BDSM style things, but there's so much more to that. It could be like the hand on the throat is very edgy and can feel that way, but have that turn on.
Right.
And then there is also shapeshifter that has a little bit of all of them. And so just like love languages, it is very empowering to learn your erotic blueprint and have that understanding of, oh, that's why that doesn't turn me on. Like, no wonder we're hitting this wall all the time when my partner goes to do this, and it is so not what I want at all. But now I know this is why. I have language to put to it. This is what I do like. Here's your roadmap of how to turn me on. And compared to going to the genitals, just touching my neck and my hair, that's going to skyrocket me compared to shut me down. And so it's kind of learning those brakes and accelerators. And then you're empowered, you're able to communicate that and just really have that fun in those sexual experiences.
Well, and your partner is going to be so grateful that you're willing that not only to explore this, discover this, acknowledge it, and share it with them so that it can just go beyond. And then hopefully your partner is also interested in learning the things or sharing those things they maybe already know about themselves so that it can be reciprocated.
Yeah. Then you can have a little bit of fun.
Absolutely.
Or
she
you
has
can
a
help
free
them
quiz
discover
too.
it. Oh, she has.
Yes. I think
She has a free
that would
quiz?
be a lot of
That'd be good.
fun.
Yeah,
That would
help
be
them
fun.
discover. Okay, so do you like this? Or do you
Right.
prefer that?
And I have a whole bunch of different things. Like I've seen what is that show? It's one of those Netflix, I think it's Perfect Match or something. No, Too Hot to Handle. That's what it is. I'm not going to promote the show totally, but they have one part of the show where basically they're banning everyone from having sex. What they're trying to do is they're trying to promote healthy relationships on the show. However, when they couple up, sometimes they go up and beyond the rules and they sneak off and they end up not having full out sex, but they just end up kissing or whatever, and then they lose money for the jackpot at the end, right? So if you kiss, you lose 30,000, or not 30,000, like $3,000. Sometimes they double it and you lose $6,000. So, people are like, oh, I don't really care, because they're just so horny at one point and they want each other because they aren't able to pleasure themselves or, pleasure that person. So they just want to at least kiss, but then they lose money for the jackpot. So there's always couples on the show that always break the rules. And we're talking like kissing or touching or just something. And I think there's been shows where, I think the jackpot's usually about $100,000 and they would lose maybe $30,000 or $40,000 in general, just a couple. So they take it to the ultimate test and they put them into their private suite. And they have like a whole night alone with all the sex toys in the room. So handcuffs, they got like the leather little whips and feathers. And so everything we sort of touched on there about kind of pleasuring with just like the senses, not even doing anything. But it's like, you can just see that, I mean, that's pretty edgy. And like, okay, they could pick up something and one person would be like, turn on right away. And then that could be it. They could blow the entire jackpot in one night. So you can just see how even just watching the show and they're just fooling around with a couple of little toys, like a little whip. And you're just like, okay, someone's just going to want it. And then that's it. You're like, because you're like, you just know, you've seen the two of them build up the chemistry during the show, touching each other and wanting to kiss, whatever. And you're like, just stay on either side of the room, guys. Like, just don't even look at toys, nothing. And then they've got, the champagne and chocolate. So hitting all the five senses, the room smells nice.
The
They've
music.
the satin sheets and the whole, oh my goodness. Yeah. Like pretty nice candles, the whole thing. So when it comes to, that type of stuff, do you think it's more or less? Should you have a room filled with stuff like that? Do you think it's really necessary? Or do you think even just the minimal stuff would do? Ladies, what do you think? What's your...
I would tend to say that it's fun to change things up once in a while and just add something new, or like, don't open all the gifts on Christmas morning.
Don't be so selfish.
Like, yeah, just play with it and don't have expectations set up that you can then be disappointed, because sometimes like that really short morning, you're still half in your dream world. There's been no coffee. You start the morning that way. There's no warm up. No, that's fine. Or the full blown, maybe it's, I don't know, an hour or two of play and fun.
The whole weekend,
the whole weekend. Yeah. I think just being open to, your energy levels aren't always going to be up for the full on game and play and tour. Yes. Tour. Or sometimes you don't align with what you and your partner want, or your schedules are way off. And I think just being open and forgiving and compassionate around that, it's going to be way better than when you do get together. And I've gone through times where I've just, my partner will fall asleep and I'm like, had some ideas of maybe what I wanted to do.
Right.
And I'd get all pissed off and think and feel rejected. And I've grown past that, but you're just like, really? I do nothing. So you can just like, you just fell asleep. But you stop and think, well, what kind of day did they have? Right?
Hold on
That's
to
not
that
rejection.
note. Hold on to that thought about that rejected feeling. Okay. Jannine, though, I want to hear from you. What do you think? Do you think a room full of toys, or, should you just, what do you think? What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, well, I now understand why the show is called Too Hot to Handle. That makes a lot of sense now.
I mean, seriously, just watch one season of it and you'll just be like, okay.
You're the fourth person to mention this show to me based
Oh.
on different topics I talk about. Apparently, they've had someone on there talking about yoni eggs.
Mhm.
I believe the energetic orgasms potentially. So I need to watch this show, apparently.
Yes.
But for me, I'm more along the lines of what Deena shared. And I think that goes with the start slow, make those steps that feel right to you. Depending on the person, if you put them in a room filled with all the things, like that is super overwhelming and they're going to completely shut down and be freaked out. And so it really depends on the person. I will say that I have what I call a pleasure toolkit.
Yeah.
And I actually have a free pleasure toolkit guide that goes through different options you can have.
Mhm.
And so I like a crystal yoni egg, crystal dildo, butt plug. You can also have some nipple clamps or a silk scarf to bring in those different senses. And it can be as simple as switching up the room. Switching up the location is a fun
the
way to spice
location.
things up, right? Like get it on in the kitchen, like
Take it
partway through
outdoors.
doing something. Yes, in the backyard under the warm sun. That's a lot of fun. So there's a lot of ways to switch things up. You don't need all the tools, all the flashy things. Like start small, go with what feels edgy, but within your comfort zone and stack on. There's other people that they got their freak flag flying and they are ready for all the things and like have at or have a ton of fun, and other people where it's just going to be a little small thing at a time. Even changing the sheets can make a massive difference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because some people aren't quite, I don't know if anyone has seen 50 Shades of Grey. I watched it one time because I was just curious on what the whole show was about. And I was like, okay, that's a lot of information all at once.
I've read the books.
Right.
I read the books. Yeah, I read the books.
Right. I'm
way
not
back
a
when.
huge book reader. I'm getting more into reading. However, I'm a huge movie buff. So chances are I'm going to go see the movie way before the book.
Fair enough.
I'm also a visual learner as
Mhm.
well. So visual and hands-on. I do have a really good imagination reading. However, I have to like really get into a kind of a book. So gets me, I'm like the oven book reader. Takes me a little while to get into it. So if the first chapter is like lame, I'm gonna be like done.
Where's the movie?
Yeah, I'll be like, can we just looking up on the line for the movie. But yeah, so kind of I think watching some of those movies to get an idea of what is out there will educate you a little bit if you are too afraid to ask someone or do research. But I do believe, do some research, right? Deena, I want to go back into your what you were saying about
rejection.
the rejection. How like you said, okay, well now you're over it. But what did you feel like in the beginning? I think we've all had that time where we feel shut down because someone was not in the mood, or maybe you moved a different way. Perhaps they're even sick, right? There's these different things, but do you remember that first feeling of being rejected?
I do. And I think it's because, I mean, in some of the instances, maybe the person had been affectionate and hinting about, like it's, this is what's we can look forward to at night. And then it didn't happen, or plans changed, or you end up, there's a child in a room nearby and you got to, like whatever it might be, or in the bunk bed next to the bed. Things, and then you've kind of got that oven warmed up, like you're thinking, okay, I've kept some energy on reserve here for this. I've thinking about this and looking forward to it. And maybe it's, whatever the scenario might be, maybe you haven't seen a person in a while and you think it's going to be so good when they get home, and then they're super tired, or the plans change, or they're sick, like you say. And that feeling was in my own head. I made up a story about what was happening. So I made up a story that this meant absolutely this is going to happen. And then when it didn't, for whatever reason, I made up the story. All the reasons why must be I'm not attractive enough, or something I said, or they're just not into it, or into me, or okay, is there somebody else? All this stuff.
Mhm.
And I would literally get like angry or pissed off, or then I couldn't sleep, and then I'd get up and I'd just get myself in a tizzy. And when I finally would bring it up and ask, it was like, well, just wake me. I would have loved that. Like, just wake me. I'm sorry. I didn't, like whatever. It wasn't done intentionally. I'd made this
Right.
story up in my own head.
Yeah.
And it
Because you're
had a
trying to
lot.
be respectful, right? Because if you
Yes.
know they've had a long day at work, and you kind of see like, well, they've passed out on the couch. What do you do?
Well,
You
and you
know, so
think
I think we
if it
have to
was
have those
that
conversations.
important,
Yeah.
so have the conversation. But it had more to do than just the sex part. I made
Mm.
this a story about our relationship and made it a story about me in general. And I was struggling
Right.
with self-worth and with confidence, and struggling with that anyways. And so then I just used this as more evidence to support my story that I had created, and it was not true. So if you have that conversation, you can dispel a lot of these myths that you've built
Right.
up in your own head.
Absolutely. It's that rejection and the low self-worth, that worthiness that just bites us in the butt. We do it to ourselves without even knowing. And communication is so key, and having that awareness and just being able to say something. And maybe not in the moment, maybe you get in a tizzy about it and the next day you mention it. And it's like, oh, okay. So next time it happens, I'm not going to go in this negative spiral. I might have that compassion and understand. Or maybe I'll do that little wake up. Or maybe if I'm really looking forward to it, I'm going to express that and let them know, because they have no idea what's going on inside my head and how much
Yes.
I've built it up. And they would probably really like this too if they understood what these kind of sexy plans are. So there's communication is such a huge piece to it.
Yeah.
Ooh, I love that. I love that.
Mhm.
Just like offering more of those hints and saying that. Now, Jannine, as an expert, this
Yeah.
brings to mind the question of how vulnerable we already feel, A, in our nakedness around sex, but B, in our performance. Because
Mhm.
at this age and stage, we're probably not with someone that has only ever been with us. And so we think, oh, maybe they're comparing us to something else. Those conversations might be something we want to ask them too. Like, what do you like? What do you don't like? And not just think, oh, maybe my performance isn't what.
I mean, they're not holding up cards going, "Oh, you're a 1 out of 10."
Oh,
Right.
how mortifying would that be?
Like, "Okay, what's a 5?"
Like,
Great.
oh yeah, we talked
Here's a
about the
10.
Olympics too. That reminds me.
Oh, let's see. There we go. Got
Oh
my
yeah,
my
gotcha.
fireworks.
There,
There's the 10
woo,
out of 10 performance. Ah.
woo.
You want the fireworks in the bedroom, guys. Do you?
Yeah.
I'm sure you do.
Yes.
And you can feel the fireworks. You feel the connection, right?
Yeah.
And so I think rather than worrying about the comparison and this and that, focusing on the moment, that connection,
Yeah.
noticing the body language and moving through that, like that's going to be that evidence in itself.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really matter what those experiences are. There's such a spectrum. Even with the same partner, you can have a whole spectrum of different sexual experiences, and they're all okay in different ways. And so again, that communication, that connection, and just seeing where it takes you and being able to focus on that and get out of our heads into our bodies. And that's where we often go, right? It's just in our heads with that comparison or the insecurities or this and that. And a trick is to just focus on the sensation. Just bring it back. What do I feel right now? Where is it located? what kind of feeling is it, and just keep refocusing there. And then that's how that builds, and you build a connection with yourself and then that connection with the partner. And that's how you know when you have those fireworks going.
There
when
you go,
you feel
folks. That's
sexy,
the key.
yeah.
I one thing I want to get kind of briefly go over is the role play. Because not often are people willing to do role play. I've again, because I'm a movie buff, but a few movies that I have watched, I love when they role play where they decide, okay, we're going to go for dinner or we're going to go to a pub or whatever, and they pretend they don't know each other, right? So it's like you're meeting for the very first time, and then you kind of pick each other up, and then you take each other home. But it's just like, you see the eye contact from across the room, and he's looking, and then, he might be at the bar and she walks in the door, and, they kind of look, and, she might walk around, pretend like she's never seen him before. Well, she has to, right? So, and then just that connection. So I think keeping it fresh would be something to think about, and something that would be fun if perhaps things are going a bit dry in the sex life, right? Because I think everyone's had a point where it's like, well, what else can we try? So what are your thoughts, ladies, on the role play? Let's go with Jannine first.
Yeah, I think that role play falls into that kinky erotic blueprint, right? Like how it can just be something a bit edgy and fun and different. And I say go for it if that's what kind of amps you on. And then again, there can just be that change of location and things, and in relieving some of that performance pressure. One thing that really comes in mind is I think there's so much focus on like penis and vagina sex as being the like goal of sex and getting an orgasm that way.
Yeah.
But exploring outside of that, like to me, it's crazy that that's like classified as what sex is, when you can have fully erotic experiences without that even happening. And that can relieve that performance anxiety as we age. There doesn't need to be full hard-ons or full penetration or anything like that. We can fully explore each other, get fully turned on, and have incredible experiences without that even happening. So I say, just really open yourself up to what's possible, explore those turn-ons and that curiosity. It really starts with that curiosity, and using things like this podcast episode or different shows or books, using that as that conversation topic. It feels super awkward to just be like, I would like to try this. What do you think? It can be a little bit easier to be like, oh, I heard this thing. What do you think about it?
Yeah, because it's another thing to want it, but then to bring it up with your partner is another topic in itself, right? Okay, Deena, what's your thoughts on the whole role play? And
I honestly don't have thought. I'm like, go for it if that's something you want to try. I've never. I'm more around the try different locations, or add some toys or something like that. And I've never tried the role play, but it looks fun. Like I just saw a movie the other night where the guy comes home and she's in like this sexy stewardess outfit, and she's got all these little lines that fit, that are innuendos, but that fits the verbiage you'd hear from a stewardess, right? And I was like, oh, that's kind of cute. That's fun. Maybe I should get a sexy stewardess outfit. And but I think
coming, so
there will be lots of stuff out there. What I really love though is the confidence that we gain by even considering that we are interested in something like that. And it will blow our partners' minds to think that we want to play in that way, and that we want to bring some of that element to it. And even in the conversation, like, boing, like I can just, like, they're just going to be
like, just like so, Batman right there. Boing.
Yeah, they're going to, holy cupcakes, Batman.
It could be Catwoman and but no, my Batman, like, maybe I want Robin instead.
But I just think there's so much power in having confidence. Again, I think that's super sexy, but even having the confidence to open those conversations, or to show that you're interested in them and enough that you would have a conversation like that, that sex isn't just a duty that you feel you need to fill, which sometimes maybe they are wondering, are you just doing this because you feel you have to, or is this fun? I want this to be enjoyable for you. And I think that partners, they want that, and you're showing enjoyment, and you're showing that you think this is an important part of your relationship when you're looking for ways to change it up or to play or just make it fun. And so for me, that's my opinion on it. I really think you have so much more power than you realize to enjoy it the way you want. And what I keep coming back to, it was so enlightening, this conversations I've had with Jannine recently, where knowing you're touching and giving yourself pleasure, whether it's food, sound, taste, visual, being present and really pleasuring your own senses in whatever ways, just makes you feel like a woman and feel like, or a man, if men do it, you just feel more.
Men just biting that steak just a little bit.
You just feel sensual. Like it's, and that is it's like an aura that you have around you then.
Yeah.
It actually can be scientifically measured. Like your sexual energy is your life force energy. And as you get that going, your electromagnetic field amplifies. And that's like, I can go super esoteric into it, but it really does affect your energy, plus all of the different hormones, endorphins, dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin. That's how you get that radiant glow. That it really does affect so much. And the more orgasms you have, the more you want. And it just continues to have that ripple effect, building your confidence, building a deeper and deeper connection with your partner, with yourself, and showing up with that glow in all different areas.
It's healthy for us.
Yeah, because I think, when we first meet someone and you first start having sex and you're having a lot of sex, right? Like, let's not kid ourselves. But then everyone's like, oh, they can see you're radiating and you're just like glowing. Like when you first get married, right? You're glowing and whatever. And of course, when you're expecting, you're glowing because of the hormone levels and all that. So you can kind of see, but it shouldn't, like you said, it shouldn't just be at those times. It should be consistent so that you're doing something right when you're glowing.
Well, and for all our single listeners, you have access to this too. You can you don't need a partner, like I mentioned in the opening. Give yourself that sensation. And if you are looking for a partner and you start putting out that kind of an aura that you love yourself, you feel sensual, you feel sexy, woo, you are going to be a walking invitation.
Right. Everyone's like a magnet.
Absolutely. That radiance, that magnetism.
Like, okay, just
attracting the right people.
Back 10 feet, people. Like,
okay, I've got another question.
Yeah. Okay. Because Jannine's probably heard it all and everything like that. I want to know, what is the number one myth when it comes to sex? Other than we already talked about P to V, that's whatever. That's what everyone thinks. But what is another myth that's often overlooked when it comes to sex?
Oh, that is a great question. So the P&V, big one.
Yeah.
The sexual erotic blueprint, big one. Another one that I will say kind of combined is the myth that women want a huge dick and that we want to have sex for 1 or 2 plus hours. When there's actually, see?
That's like,
okay.
What are you doing for a week?
So let's just take that pressure off for that performance pressure. Like, we don't actually want that. There's like a certain acceptable level, and then there's too much. And there can be greatness with all different sizes. And with that length of time, like 15, 20 minutes is great. We don't need to hit an hour every single session. Mixing up the amount of quickies with the amount of that more longer playful time where perhaps there's more intention, setting the stage for it, having that designated date night, setting that expectation so you both know what you're going to get into. And all those other more quickie, fun experiences are great. But this isn't the goal. It's having fun and like the charcuterie of what's available to us.
Oh, charcuterie. I like that.
I have a question, something we haven't touched on. That was gold. Thank you for busting those myths, because I think,
That's true.
guys come in and think, well, like, they worry about, or other partners.
Yeah, but some people
they
worry I
worry
wasn't
about
long enough for
performance or size or anything like that. And orgasms, we got to finish with a bang. We're going to go out on orgasms.
Yeah, we don't have to finish together either.
Right.
Yeah, that's another one. Like, let's set that expectation aside. It doesn't have to be together. We can come at different times, and it's respectful to give space for the other one too. Just because one does doesn't mean everything ends.
Right.
Yeah,
I have to tell something very personal here that I want to make sure that anybody listening, whether you're the male partner, female partner, whatever it is that you identify as, that for me, I am so grateful when, if I haven't had an orgasm, my partner offers to stay and work with me through, like, give me that in whatever way I get to pick, how I would like to, or if I want to. Honestly, there are many times that I will say, you know what? The fact that you offered is enough. I feel perfectly satisfied. I'm happy. I'm satisfied. Like, I don't need the big bang in this case, or whatever, or I'm already half asleep, like, just cuddle me.
It's been 2 hours, man. Let's wrap it up. We're good.
But for anybody who feels like they think their partner always wants it, and then the partner's like, well, maybe I shouldn't tell them no thanks. If you don't need it, you can say, hey, no thanks. But honestly, the offer, if they just don't consider that maybe, they have, you haven't, and that's the end, and you're just going, well, hello, what about me? But offering is often a beautiful gift in itself.
Offering, and maybe, just even helping your partner finish.
Yeah.
Right. Just, maybe that's all they need, is just the other person to excite them a little bit more and help them finish. And then it's like, okay, which again, communication is key. And I think these conversations before sex is good, because we often, like Deena said, we build this all into our head of this whole sexual story of what we may have. And, some build it like the movies. There's rose petals, there's, chocolate and strawberries, all set up in the bedroom, or candles everywhere. But oftentimes, that's not going to happen. Like, that's movies. So putting those expectations in your head all the time, like it's got to be this way every single time. No, think about what your partner wants. What maybe they've got a fantasy that you want to kind of build together and try that one time. And maybe you have a fantasy that you want to try one time. And then maybe you guys can build one together or something as well. I think imagination is key as well, and keeping boundaries, right? Like, what's the boundary? And some people say, okay, maybe a safe word if we need to. Yes, I learned that off 50 Shades of Grey. Thank you.
It was an educational show. Yeah. Now that you're talking about it, I was going to come back to the 50 Shades of Grey, because I read it several years ago, and I just read the books, and I found, well, I thought, oh, it's not the greatest story at first. And then I was like, whoa, this is pretty hot, all this stuff. But like,
it's interesting.
It's like, whoo, this is a lot. And I actually so I would skip those scenes. The storyline, the drama of it got better, and I just wanted to get back to the story. And it's like, okay, you guys, how many pages?
You're doing that.
Yeah. I'm just like, yeah, that's great. You're doing it. Yeah. But it was interesting to, it was a whole new world I wasn't aware of. But
Yeah.
It was, and of course it touched on some of that. I speak a lot around abuse
Yeah.
too. And so it
Yeah.
was, like you
Well,
say,
that's
having
it.
that
We
safe
need that
word, having those
communication.
conversations. Yes.
Yeah. What is
Maybe you
safe?
want
What
more.
is, yeah.
Maybe they're not comfortable with that, but have those conversations.
Yeah.
And have them outside the bedroom, because it's so much more vulnerable, and we're more likely to like hold ourselves back or do things we don't quite want to do if it's in the bedroom, and the hurt can hurt deeper. Have the majority of those conversations outside the bedroom, whether it's before, completely unrelated, or afterwards.
Okay, that's a good point. Yeah, because when you're naked and you're laying there, it's kind of like, well, yeah, so don't touch me right now. And then we get the hurt and the rejection, and then that leads to a horrible sex experience in the long run, trauma, and then it's like you never want to have sex ever again because you're going to replay that whole scenario over and over again. So we don't want that.
No, we don't want that. And if you have that, call me.
Yeah, call Jannine. She will transform over there and put you in the right aura.
This is a great spot, and we're just about to wrap. Jannine, why don't you tell us some of the ways that people can work with you? You've got freebies to offer. You've got some ways that you can help people.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you. Thank you for this great conversation.
Right.
For those listening, I have a free honeypot meditation, which is very juicy for just really infusing your body with sensual radiance. So that's available. I'll send you the link. It's on my website, JannineMacKinnon.com. Of course, there's the podcast, Unapologetic with Jannine MacKinnon, on all of the podcasting platforms. Head to the website. I have a sex magic masterclass coming up towards the end of the month. I'll be releasing some information on that soon. Group programs in the work, free consultations for anyone that just wants to chat about their stuff and maybe be pointed in the right direction for some resources. I got lots of books I can point you to as well.
Do you have movies?
No, I'm sorry. Audible. I know it's not quite the same, but The Sex Loving Goop on Netflix.
Yeah. That sounds really interesting. I didn't even know that it was on there. So
is that a series, Jannine, or is that a
it is. So it's with Gwyneth Paltrow from Goop. And so Sex Loving Goop, they take, maybe it's around 5 different sex relationship practitioners, and they have a group of couples. And so they each work through these different modalities. So you get a really wide range of how you can work through these things, what these different relationship dynamics are between freshies, older couples, all different things.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Very neat. Okay. Thank you, Jannine, for coming on and sharing all your sexy secrets with us.
Yes, thank you. This was fun.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. All right. So yeah, hopefully we'll have you back, and maybe we'll have a session where people can come in, they can call in, or they can ask some questions and we can answer those on air as well. Because I think that we may have just skim the surface. There may be other questions that people do have that we should be talking about. We never know. There's so many other topics that we didn't even get into. We will, I think, definitely have you back.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Jannine.
Thank you.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. All right. Oh,
wrong one.
That's okay. It's okay. We'll bring Jannine. Okay. Thank you, Jannine. Okay, we're looking at one side and there's the other. The shift is happening as always. Deena, what did you think? Did you get some questions answered? Did you learn something new today?
I think it's fascinating because I actually I'm spending the week with Jannine in a way. I hosted a event with her yesterday for the ladies, and one tomorrow that's coming up for the men. So in these conversations, I think, again, the biggest aha for me is to be sensual with yourself. And of course, we're not talking about the M word, masturbation. We're talking about be sensual. Give yourself some love and care. Spend an extra 5 or 10 minutes in the bathtub and put some oils in there, or even that face massage, like she was saying. Just do something nice for you, and it's incredible how it builds that vibe, that energy around you.
I find sometimes even different lotions. They can smell different. So sometimes I could find a lotion and it's actually like really essential smelling lotion that makes you feel more feminine. And some other lotions are just like, okay, whatever. It's just,
Well,
you know, I got dry skin, let's go. But
even the way it feels on your skin.
yeah. Yeah. You know, like some are just kind of rough and, you know, or like super duper cream, like too
Greasy
creamy,
yeah.
you know, too runny. And you're just like, I can't even like put it in my skin because it's just, it's almost like hand sanitizer, you know, hand sanitizer that's really super runny and it's just like it doesn't even stick to your skin, right? So just noticing little things like that, I think will really help in the long run of just, you know, because there are oils out there as well, you know, that you can use pleasure wise. So it's kind of good to know what are scents that you and your partner both like. Right? Because sometimes you may like one and the other person's like, I don't like this smell.
Yep.
It turns them off, right? So, you know, going out to eat together, what are your favorite foods? And again, just there's a bunch of I hate to go back to that show, but you know, they did another exercise on there where you get blindfolded and it's just feeding each other foods. You know, what do you taste? What do you, you know? And it's just interesting.
And that trust factor too.
Right. Yeah. And so I think even just little games like that or just trying to discover new things will really open up that door of just like trusting and going, okay, yeah, like almost a forced communication in a way, going, okay, you know, like let's do this. And I don't like that, you know, too fast, too slow, even just feeding each other, right? Putting on lotion,
let alone
too fast, too slow.
Blindfold in the bedroom would be interesting too, you know. What
right?
Then bring an ice cube. Oh,
where's Deena's husband? He needs to watch this. let me just tag him, excuse me.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's good. It's a good conversation to have. Again, just because I think oftentimes, again, we're building that narrative in our heads of going, this is what we want, this is the way it is. Too many TV shows, movies, it's so romanticized. And, you know, maybe you guys can both plan a romantic date where you could do that. But probably 99% of the time, it's not going to be a huge romantic time. You know, it's just going to be often sex. And I don't think we should have that narrative in our head all the time and build it up every single time. I think we have to, you know, kind of think like, okay, be more, what's the word? You know, just like, don't be dramatic over it. Be reasonable of, you know, and again, respectful of your partner's time, how they're feeling in that day. Try not to feel rejected if they are feeling like, okay, well, I'm too tired now after a long day. And hey, go pleasure yourself if you need to, right? Like, well, no one's saying like, you have to stop it there.
Or just ask, hey, if you're really tired, no problem. But I'm interested if you're
help me out a little, that'd be great. But right, who knows?
Right.
But this was a good conversation. Jannine is amazing. I'm sure she's got so many tips and interesting things that she can tell even more on. So I'm happy to have her back. Like she's amazing. So Deena, thank you for setting that up for her to come on the show.
Yes,
we're going to have quite a few other different guests on the show throughout the season. If you guys want to come on, please contact us and we'll, you know, see if we got a show coming up that you'll fit into. Deena, anything else you want to add?
We're back in what, 2 weeks?
2 weeks for another Shifty Shift, right? Yeah. Wednesday afternoon. Make sure you guys tune in at 4 p.m., 5 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Eastern time.
On the 16th of October.
Yes. There we go. And
okay.
Then we'll have I want to do the Halloween. Deena sent me this hilarious video. I'm going to have to stick it up for Halloween. I think
we'll have to. Yeah. Do we have a show on
close to Halloween?
Yeah, the 30th. Yeah, we're here on the 30th, so we'll share it then.
We'll be.
Hopefully we can do it slow-mo because it's like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, we'll have to see what we can do.
Halloween shifts. So, hey, should we dress up for the 30th, the show on the 30th? Do Halloween?
Whoa,
The Halloween show?
Oh, BDSM? No. How do we dress up?
Let's surprise each other.
Our favorite shift. Our favorite cheat.
Yeah. Love it. Okay.
Well, who knows, right?
Thank you everybody for being
yeah.
with us today. It's amazing. Drop comments in there. Tag us Shift Happens Show. Let us know what you want to hear. If you have a guest to suggest or a topic, tell us.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a great day, everyone. Stay shifty. Bye.